When others awaken, their professions can only level up step by step. But the moment Tion Ma awakened, he was already able to slay a boss. What's more, his starting attribute value had reached 2, all because his level was permanently locked at level. Yet this also granted him 2 skills. One was Nirvana, a skill that increases all attributes whenever he learns a new ability. The other was Super Mimicry, which allows him to analyze an enemy's skill and gain a counter skill in response. It all began on a day when countless eerie black monoliths fell from the sky. Soon after, a barrier unfolded across the heavens. Monsters known as disaster beasts broke through the barrier and invaded the human world, powerful and terrifying in number. Leading them was a demon king known as the Demon of Destruction, Ling Jia. They launched an endless massacre against humanity. Ordinary people, once targeted, faced only death. Tion Ma, a girl's voice pulled him back to reality. She asked why he had been spacing out the entire time. He wanted to say it was nothing, but tears began to fall without him noticing. The boy with glasses beside him thought he was just sleepy. Normally, Tion Ma would already be asleep by now, but today the school had suddenly ordered a full assembly. Ever since the disaster beast appeared, humans had developed a power system capable of fighting back, known as the Awakeners. Liger told Tion Ma that the person speaking on stage was Izumi Odanin, the supreme commander of the Northern Continent. He couldn't understand why Tion Ma, someone from the Northern Continent, didn't recognize him. In truth, Tion Ma had heard the name Izumi Odanin long ago. He had imagined a hunched old man with a long beard, never expecting someone so strangely dressed to stand before him today. Liger went on to tell Tion Ma that Izumi Odanin was not only the strongest awakener, but that Ito Issei, the one hailed as the light of humanity, had once been his student as well. In fact, his visit today was to announce a discovery. Ordinary people who had yet to awaken could gain a chance to do so by touching the monoliths, which was why he intended to have everyone at the school tested. As soon as he finished speaking, a massive stone monolith was summoned into view. The sight left the students, most of whom had never seen anything like it, gasping in shock. Beside him, Liger shouted Tion Ma's name in excitement. "Tion Ma, did you hear that? We finally have a chance to become awakeners." Soon after, the students began lining up one by one to undergo the test. To everyone's surprise, the athletic prodigy who had broken school records in his very first year showed no sign of awakening at all. Was awakening truly unrelated to physical ability? One student after another stepped forward to touch the monolith. Yet even after more than 10 attempts, not a single one succeeded. Then, all of a sudden, the monolith began to change. It was Oishi Hikaru, the school bully. He had awakened as a lightning element user. Izumi Odanin's daughter, the girl with glasses, spoke up. "Father, we finally have one. Ordinary people usually start with a base attribute of 5 at level 0. His total is only 12, but that's still better than nothing." On the stage, Oishi Hikaru immediately began to boast, thinking to himself whether the old man had anything to say now. After all, he was the first awakener here. Before he could speak, Tion Ma shoved him aside. Oishi Hikaru flew into a rage. "You little brat, how dare you touch me with those filthy hands? Are you looking for death?" The crowd below buzzed with confusion. "Who's that guy? Did he just cut in line? I think he's Tion Ma from Class 5. He's done for." Oishi Hikaru just awakened and already has his eyes on him. On the stage, the girl with glasses also sensed an overwhelmingly intense emotion radiating from Tion Ma. Indeed, Tion Ma was different from the rest, because deep within his heart was an endless hatred for the disaster beasts. The instant his finger touched the monolith, a wrathful Buddha figure rose slowly behind Tion Ma. At the same time, a gigantic lotus bloomed across the sky. The sight was so overwhelming that some students collapsed to the ground. That's incredible. It's even more spectacular than Oishi Hikaru's awakening. Liger and the pink-haired girl who had been with Tion Ma couldn't help but whisper, "Was that you, Tion Ma?" On the stage, Izumi Odanin and his daughter were equally stunned. Could this be the phenomenon that only appears when the rarest class, disruptor of order, awakens. Their anticipation for Tion Ma's true potential began to rise. Meanwhile, Oishi Hikaru was furious, humiliated by the sight. Inside the massive lotus, Tion Ma himself was also bewildered. Where's he right now? Is this awakening? System prompt: Tion Ma, human. Level permanently fixed at 0. Class: disruptor of order. Talent: nirvana. Upon learning a skill, gain attribute points, cleanse all debuffs, and fully recover. Acquired Z-rank skill: super mimicry. Analyzes enemy skills and learns counter skills. Current total attributes: 0. Tion Ma immediately deflated. You gotta be kidding me. Why are all my base stats 0? System prompt: Z-rank skill: super mimicry learned. Special grade talent: nirvana activated. Total attributes increased to 2. Only then did Tion Ma realize the truth. By using super mimicry to learn counter skills, nirvana would trigger attribute gains. Even without leveling up, he could grow stronger through this unique path. He still wondered what level 200 plus attributes actually equated to, but there was no doubt he was now an awakener. Before the monolith, the giant lotus enveloping Tion Ma burst fully into bloom, blinding the students below with what could only be described as cheap visual effects. All eyes were fixed on Tion Ma's imposing silhouette. Oishi Hikaru seethed. That damn guy. How dare he steal my spotlight? The girl with glasses stared at the data in disbelief. These were stats no beginner awakener should have. As unbelievable as it was, there was no question that Tion Ma was destined to become one of the strongest awakeners. Because displayed before them all was Tion Ma, level 0, class disruptor of order, 200 in each attribute, for a total of 800 points. The crowd erupted in shock. No one had expected such a prodigy to emerge from their school, an achievement bound for the history books. Watching the crowd erupt in cheers, Oishi Hikaru grew even angrier. He hated the fact that Tion Ma had stolen the spotlight, believing that a failure should stay a failure. Lightning gathered in his hand and shot through the crowd, heading straight for Tion Ma before the monolith. Yes, he was actually trying to kill Tion Ma with the skill he had just learned. As the lightning closed in, system prompt: C-rank skill detected. Lightning snake. Super mimicry activated. Current analysis progress: 27%. The value rapidly surged to 69%. At the instant the lightning struck, Tion Ma's figure vanished. The crowd cried out again. Where did Tion Ma go? He just disappeared. Even Oishi Hikaru began looking around in panic. Then he realized his body wouldn't move at all. Behind me? A voice suddenly spoke from behind him. You should be grateful you were born human. If you were a disaster beast, I would have killed you 100 times already. Oishi Hikaru's legs gave out, and he collapsed onto the ground in terror. Perhaps because it was only a C-rank skill, super mimicry analyzed it at an astonishing speed. Once it reached 100%, Tion Ma obtained the C-rank skill, Thunderwave. It turned out that every time a skill analysis was completed, Tion Ma would be drawn into a separate dimensional space. System prompt: Analysis of Lightning Snake complete. Skill acquired, Thunderwave. When actively released, this skill absorbs C-rank and lower lightning energy, temporarily increasing agility by 50%. Each absorption of C-rank lightning permanently increases agility by 5%. System prompt: Thunderwave learned. All attributes plus all debuffs cleansed. Full recovery applied. Wrapped in arcs of shimmering lightning, Tion Ma suddenly reappeared before Oishi Hikaru. The crowd was stunned once more. Why is Tion Ma completely covered in lightning? That glow is even brighter than Oishi Hikaru's. And his attributes went up again. At that moment, rain began to fall from what had been a clear sky, and everyone looked up. They saw something descending, an enormous monolith infused with violet power. On the stage, the girl with glasses cried out, "Why is a monolith appearing here?" And at a time like this, Izumi Odenin shouted immediately, "School assembly canceled." All students evacuate to outside the campus according to emergency drill procedures. Now, the girl with glasses said in fear, "Shouldn't we run too? Combat isn't exactly our field." Izumi Odenin replied calmly, "If we run as well, it will only spread more panic. Besides, look, that boy is far braver than we are." Following the direction of his finger, the girl with glasses saw the scene unfold. While everyone else was retreating, Tion Ma was moving straight against the flow. Liger and the pink-haired girl who had been with him tried to pull him away. In Liger's eyes, Tion Ma had just become an awakener and had no business entering a battle like this. It should be left to others. But Tion Ma answered firmly, "Let them believe in me." The words made Saya blush faintly. She then grabbed Liger and hurried toward the exit of the campus. Tion Ma stared at the massive monolith, a surge of exhilaration rising within him. He never expected that his first enemy as an awakener would be the same kind that had killed his parents. His voice fell together with his tears, as if the heavens themselves were favoring him. From within the monolith emerged and level, 8 skeleton soldier, its entire body wreathed in blue flames. Facing this terrifying figure, Tion Ma immediately thought of the skill he had just acquired. Using the speed boost from Thunderwave, he lunged straight toward it. This time, he would not allow anyone else to be killed by these foolish monsters. A surge of violent lightning slammed directly into the skeleton's abdomen. With a loud bang, the creature was blasted backward. The crowd was stunned. No one expected Tion Ma to be this strong, sending the monster flying into a school building with a single strike. After all, it was in level 8 disaster beast, and he had only just awakened. Even Izumi Odenin hadn't anticipated that Tion Ma's power and speed were on an entirely different level from ordinary ranks. Still, he didn't believe Tion Ma could defeat the skeleton general. That was because the enemy possessed 2 extremely troublesome abilities. One that drastically increased its defense, and another, a blue miasma that burned anything it touched. Seeing this, Liger and Saya both sensed something was terribly wrong. Tion Ma was in danger. Watching the scene, Oishi Hikaru burst out laughing. "Trash. You don't even know your own limits. Then let them deal with you." System prompt. Skill detected. Bonefire. Hyper brain activated. The task window made Tion Ma realize that every time he was hit by an enemy skill, his analysis speed would accelerate. The girl with glasses couldn't help but worry, because even a level 10 awakener would have almost no chance of surviving a direct hit from that attack. Surrounded by eerie blue ghost fire, Tion Ma murmured softly, "So this is the pain of being burned alive." "Mom." The image from his memories surfaced in his mind. With a finger burned down to bare bone, Tion Ma pointed at the skeleton general. "Analysis complete. You're finished." Just when everyone thought all hope was lost, a blue lotus bloomed once more, like a miracle. Standing within the lotus, Tion Ma felt a trace of curiosity. What kind of skill will it be this time? System prompt. Analysis of Bonefire complete. Skill acquired. Black Ice Wall. Activating this skill consumes mana and coats the body in ice, blocking B rank and lower fire type damage. Passive effect. When blocking B rank or lower fire skills, defense increases by 10%. System prompt. Frozen Dominion acquired. Attributes plus 20. All debuffs removed. All wounds fully healed. Previously, even Tion Ma's strongest attack couldn't break the enemy's defenses, but with his current offensive power, it should be enough. The blue lotus suddenly contracted. The crowd stared in disbelief. "He's still alive? How is that even possible? This is a miracle." Izumi Odenin and the girl with glasses were equally stunned. Does he possess top-tier regeneration? But he already used lightning-type skills earlier. Though Disruptor of Order was already the most mysterious class, Tion Ma was exceptional even among them, capable of fully recovering even if his limbs were severed or his brain destroyed. Izumi Odenin couldn't help wondering where the limits of such regeneration lay. With a furious roar, the skeleton general unleashed Bonefire once again. As the azure flames rushed toward him, Tion Ma activated the newly acquired skill, Black Ice Wall. This time, the flames couldn't harm him at all. A layer of jet black ice instantly covered his entire body. Like a piece of constructed armor, it isolated all the scorching heat outside. Then, using the power of Thunderwave, Tion Ma leapt once more. A massive black greatsword infused with both lightning and ice condensed in his grasp. With a single swing, the once invincible level 8 skeleton general was cleaved cleanly in two. The speed of that single movement left everyone else completely unable to keep up. They couldn't understand how Tion Ma had slipped behind the disaster beast in an instant. It was almost like teleportation. Watching Black Ice Wall gradually dissipate from his body, Tion Ma couldn't help but marvel at it. It wasn't just solid armor. It could freely shape itself into weapons of any form, making it a near god-tier skill that combined offense and defense. Just as he was lost in thought, a voice interrupted him. Liger wrapped an arm around Tion Ma's neck, laughing loudly. "You idiot, you scared me half to death back there." Tion Ma asked where Saya. Liger froze for a moment. Wait, why didn't Saya come over? She looked like she was about to cry earlier. Tion Ma scanned the crowd, but couldn't find her anywhere. Was she angry? Izumi Otonin turned to the girl with glasses beside him. "Phone die. Stay here and help with the cleanup. And pass a message to the principal. I'll be taking that boy with me." Liger reassured Tion Ma. "You already won. Saya wouldn't be mad. She's probably afraid of falling behind you and went to the Monolith instead." At that moment, a voice stopped Tion Ma. "You're Tion Ma, correct?" Izumi Otonin slowly stepped up in front of him. The surrounding students erupted into whispers. Why is Izumi Otonin talking to him? Is he thinking about taking him as a disciple? Impossible. The only one who ever became his student was Ito Issei, the strongest man in history. No matter how strong Tion Ma is, that won't happen. Reading the situation, Liger tactfully excused himself, saying he would go look for Saya. Izumi Otonin spoke again. "You are exceptional, because within your heart, I sense overwhelming anger and hatred. So I want to know why." Hearing this, Tion Ma held nothing back and told his story in full. 10 years ago, his parents were killed by disaster beasts while protecting him, and he himself nearly died, although an awakener arrived in time and saved his life. His mother was burned to death right before his eyes by the skeleton general's bonfire. The loss of both parents carved deep hatred into his heart. All of it was caused by that root of all evil. From that moment on, he swore an oath. In this lifetime, he would slaughter every disaster beast in existence. After listening, Izumi Otonin asked, "If your heart is filled with hatred, then why do you still shed tears?" Tion Ma replied, "After witnessing my mother's death, my tears should have long dried up. Yet for some reason, my right eye still sheds tears on its own." Izumi Otonin then asked whether Tion Ma was willing to become his disciple. If he agreed, he would be brought into the Salvation Alliance and granted power capable of overwhelming the disaster beasts. The Salvation Alliance was an organization jointly established by the governments of the 5 continents, gathering elite awakeners from around the world. Its members, known as saviors, employed far more efficient and scientific methods to combat disaster beasts. Saviors were provided with exclusive training facilities, advanced weaponry, and generous pay. Even trainee saviors received 10,000 gold coins per month. Of course, such generosity were not given freely. They had to be earned by standing at the very front line, protecting the safety of the people. Tion Ma didn't care much about high pay or resources, but if it meant fighting disaster beasts on the front lines, he would choose to become a savior without hesitation. Izumi Otonin then told him that every February, the Salvation Alliance held an exam known as the Salvation Alliance National Championship. With over 10,000 participants, only the top 100 earned a right to become trainee saviors. Hearing this, Tion Ma asked just one question: what was the highest score in history? Though the reference value was limited, Izumi Otonin answered honestly. The record was set by Ito Issei, 15,000 points. Reaching 30% of that score was enough to pass. while 50% would secure first place outright. And Ito Issei was exactly the man Liger had mentioned, the strongest awakener, known as the light of humanity. Izumi Odanin continued, Issei is an exceptional existence. Comparing oneself to him only leads to despair. But with confidence, I believe my talent allows me to walk the same path he did. What Izumi Odanin didn't realize was that Tion Ma's ambition went far beyond that. His words suddenly reminded him of a past conversation with Ito Issei. Back then, he had said, "You're becoming more and more admired. Many young people are trying to follow in your footsteps." But Ito Issei replied, "Simply following won't win the war against disaster beasts. One day, someone will surpass me, rising like a new dawn to replace the setting sun." At this moment, Tion Ma's words made Izumi Odanin realize that Tion Ma might be that long-awaited new dawn. Izumi Odanin then led Tion Ma to a strange building. Seeing it, Tion Ma asked what it was. Izumi Odanin explained that the monoliths descending from the sky were gateways connecting this world to the disaster beast realm. If disaster beasts were eliminated without addressing the monoliths, new ones would continue to emerge endlessly. The structure before them was a facility built to isolate monoliths that couldn't be destroyed. Awakeners periodically cleared the beasts inside, both to contain their numbers and to serve as live training grounds. Such facilities were collectively referred to as checkpoints. Since the level and number of disaster beasts inside couldn't be controlled, they were extremely dangerous, especially the checkpoint before them, housing exceptionally powerful disaster beasts. With the highest mortality rate for newcomers, it was known as the Grave of Beginners. Back then, Ito Issei had cleared this place in 3 minutes and 14 seconds. So if Tion Ma wanted to surpass him, he would have to finish in under 3 minutes. And if he managed to do so, Izumi Odanin would accept him as a disciple. After that, Tion Ma headed to the checkpoint registration desk. The girl in charge asked, "How many challengers are there this time?" Tion Ma replied, "Just me." The moment the words left his mouth, the area fell completely silent. The girl assumed he was joking inside. That joke isn't funny at all. If you're just here to look around or show off, this won't work. This place is extremely dangerous. Under certain conditions, people can even lose their lives. Hearing this, the people nearby also assumed Tion Ma was just here to flirt with the girl. Tion Ma calmly said to her, "You've misunderstood something. I have no interest in you. I'm here solely to challenge the checkpoint." The girl covered her forehead in exasperation. "There's no need to keep up appearances. You're not even asking for my contact info, so just go home already." Realizing there was no way to explain himself, Tion Ma's expression darkened. "Don't make me say it again. I'm here to challenge the checkpoint." Only then did the registration girl realize she had truly misunderstood. She hurriedly handed him a wristband. Still, everyone around thought he was insane. A level 0 rookie attempting a level 10 checkpoint was nothing short of suicide. In the world of Awakeners, talent was only a bonus. Level was everything. Without sufficient level, even top-tier talents were meaningless. Tion Ma walked calmly toward the checkpoint gate. His wristband already contained his personal data. He only needed to scan it to enter. As he raised his hand, the gate's announcement sounded, "Awakener Tion Ma, entry authorization approved." Since he had promised to clear it within 3 minutes, Tion Ma decided this time to go all out. The moment the gate opened, he burst forward into the checkpoint. Before long, Tion Ma realized that the interior space was far more expansive than he had imagined. Soon after, Tion Ma sensed the presence of enemies emerging. A level 4 tree demon suddenly launched an attack at him. With a loud bang, it was split cleanly in half by a single axe strike. Looking at the axe blade formed from black ice wall, Tion Ma muttered in approval. Against something made of wood, an axe really is the best tool. I wonder how these monsters feel, watching their own kind get chopped in half. At that moment, Feng Dai, who had just arrived from the school, asked her father, "There are plenty of beginner-friendly checkpoints. Why did he choose this one?" Izumi Odenin replied that since Tion Ma had declared his intent to surpass Ito Issei, he brought him to the very first checkpoint Issei had ever challenged. Feng Dai, however, believed that unless one surpassed the limits of humanity itself, surpassing Mr. Issei was impossible. She had personally witnessed Ito Issei instantly kill a level 97 disaster beast. The look in his eyes at that moment, cold, lonely, and distant, was like the gaze of God. Izumi Odenin suddenly said, "That boy also possesses potential no less than Issei's. Right now, he's simply an unpolished gem. And if Issei fights to save humanity, then Tion Ma is his opposite, one who advances while being consumed by hatred." By now, Tion Ma had already wiped out the group of tree demons with ease. Their strength wasn't even enough to trigger super mimicry. Suddenly, a terrifying presence appeared behind him. Tion Ma turned and brought his axe down in a heavy swing. Staring at the disaster beast smashed into pulp on the ground, he murmured, "Is this really all a level 10 tree demon can do?" At that moment, the system notified him, detected Barang's skill self-regeneration. Super mimicry activated. Immediately afterward, the shattered remains of the tree demon began regenerating at an astonishing speed. Even with half its head destroyed, it rapidly grew back into form. Clearly, things were not going to be as smooth as Tion Ma had expected. When its vines were about to entangle him, Tion Ma activated Black Ice Wall, the icy barrier erupting outward and shattering them instantly. He realized that only overwhelming damage delivered in a very short time could completely stop its regeneration. As the analysis percentage continued to rise, Tion Ma's movements grew faster and faster. The axe blade in Tion Ma's hand came crashing down. The tree demon was split cleanly into two. "If this still doesn't kill you," Tion Ma snarled, "then I'll chop you into dust until you can never regenerate again." He followed up with a relentless barrage of strikes, hacking at the severed body. In an instant, the tree demon's body shattered into countless tiny wooden fragments. Seeing the debris scattered across the ground, Tion Ma thought that should finally be enough. After all, maintaining Black Ice Wall for so long had nearly drained his mana. Yet the next moment, the fragments began to wriggle and grow once more. Even in this state, it still hadn't died. However, every regeneration caused super mimicry's analysis speed to increase further. In theory, Tion Ma could deactivate Black Ice Wall to conserve mana and rely on Thunder Wave to evade until the analysis was complete. But there was hardly any time left before the 3-minute limit expired. So he chose to maintain both Thunder Wave and Black Ice Wall at the same time, maximizing his attack output and forcing the tree demon into endless regeneration, accelerating the analysis process. He knew all too well that fighting in a near-zero mana state was extremely dangerous. He could die here at any moment. But if he truly died here, it would only prove that this was the limit of his strength. Gritting his teeth, Tion Ma drove the axe blade formed from Black Ice Wall down toward the tree demon once more. To his shock, the blade shattered mid-swing. Frustration boiling over, Tion Ma muttered, "Damn it. Looks like my mana is completely exhausted." At that instant, his analysis rate reached 100%. Just as he had anticipated, activating super mimicry required no mana at all. From the very beginning, this battle had already been decided in his favor. As a familiar blue lotus bloomed once again, the system notification rang out. Regeneration analysis complete. Skill acquired, Buddha's Wrath Fire Lotus. When actively released, it dealt explosive damage to enemies within a 5-meter radius, with power proportional to the mana consumed. Passive effect: each time Buddha's Wrath Fire Lotus killed a creature of level 1 or higher, the skill's area of effect increased by 10%. The system then followed up. Mimicry effect: all debuffs removed, all wounds fully healed. Tion Ma stared at the tree demon before him, still possessing terrifying regenerative power. He then clapped his hands together. Instantly, a crimson lotus blossomed outward from his position. Under the overwhelming force, The tree demon was reduced to ashes in a single moment. Tion Ma couldn't help but comment. The power of Buddha's Wrath Fire Lotus is impressive. Using only 1/3 of my mana achieved this result. Clearing out minor enemies should be much easier from now on. As the dust settled, he noticed a brilliant stone lying quietly on the ground. Outside the checkpoint, the woman in charge of registration was already panicking and considering calling the authorities. Nearly 3 minutes had passed since Tion Ma entered, with no sign of him emerging. At that very moment, the screen beside the gate lit up. New record achieved. Feng Dai stared in disbelief. He cleared it? And in under 3 minutes? That was a checkpoint housing a level 10 disaster beast. Moments later, Tion Ma slowly stepped out of the checkpoint. The crowd erupted. He really survived. Is that green liquid disaster beast blood? He beat Ito Issei's time by a full minute. And his level is still 0? Is this a joke? Tion Ma ignored the commotion and looked straight at Izumi Odanin. So, he asked calmly, "May I officially accept your guidance now, Master?" Izumi Odanin laughed heartily. "Excellent work. Truly worthy of being my student." Only then did everyone realize that Tion Ma had already become Izumi Odanin's disciple. No wonder he was able to break Ito Issei's record. Finally, the registration woman handed Tion Ma the record-breaking reward and sincerely apologized for her earlier misunderstanding. Hearing this, Tion Ma brushed it off calmly. For a level 0 rookie, challenging a checkpoint like that would seem reckless to anyone. You tried to stop me because you were worried, so I should actually be thanking you. As soon as he finished speaking, the girl's face flushed bright red. Feng Dai turned back and called out, "Tion Ma, hurry up. We're going to leave you behind. And don't get carried away just because you've become my father's disciple." Izumi Odanin spoke up. "That level was still too easy for you. How about raising the difficulty? With your current ability, you can already challenge higher tier checkpoints. You need to understand that level alone doesn't determine a disaster beast's strength. The most critical factor is species. Beasts that act purely on instinct and lack intelligence are relatively easy to deal with. But some species possess intelligence equal to humans, or even greater. Those are far more troublesome than ordinary disaster beasts. In essence, awakeners and disaster beasts are nearly the same kind of life form. The difference is that, at present, only humans possess classes. In other words, attributes vary by species. So-called high-tier checkpoints either contain far stronger disaster beasts or intelligent ones. Their difficulty is several times higher than what you've faced so far. Since most high-tier checkpoints on the northern continent are located in the northern dead zone, that will be your next destination. Only then did Tion Ma realize that all the disaster beasts he had defeated earlier had been mindless, which meant they couldn't feel pain at all. He turned to Feng Dai and asked, if a disaster beast has intelligence, then it can feel pain, right? Feng Dai didn't know what Tion Ma was thinking, but the faintly terrifying aura emanating from him still made her uneasy. Tion Ma then opened the reward he had obtained for breaking the record. Seeing the gray crystal inside the box, he frowned. Isn't this the same thing as before? Izumi Odanin asked in return, have you seen origin stones before? Tion Ma nodded. Yes, one dropped when I defeated a disaster beast in a previous checkpoint. But that one was green, not this color. When Tion Ma took out the green crystal, Feng Dai exclaimed in shock. How could a mid-grade origin stone appear during the beginner stage? An origin stone is quite literally an experience stone. When a disaster beast or an awakener dies, an intangible substance known as origin force is released from the body. It can be understood as experience points, and absorbing it increases one's level. In simple terms, an origin stone is a crystal in which origin force has condensed. By using it, one can absorb the stored origin force, making it one of the methods for leveling up. However, a mid-grade origin stone should not appear at this stage. Izumi Odanin explained that this was likely a form of feedback from the origin force itself. His words left both Tion Ma and Feng Dai confused. He then clarified, normally, the origin force of the defeated is absorbed by the victor. Yet after Tion Ma defeated 2 disaster beasts in succession, he did not level up, and origin force cannot simply vanish. When Tion Ma defeated the skeleton general at the school, the origin force he could not absorb was taken in by the other awakeners present. But a checkpoint is a sealed environment, with only Tion Ma inside, an awakener incapable of absorbing origin force, and no other vessel to contain it. The accumulated origin force condensed into a solid form, creating an origin stone or experience stone. Hearing this, Fengdai asked, "Does that mean you really can't level up? Then how do your attributes increase?" Before she could finish, Izumi Odanin cut her off. "Fengdai, have you forgotten what I told you? An awakener's talent must never be revealed to others." The sudden pressure in his voice startled her, and she quickly apologized. Izumi Odanin then turned back to Tion Ma. "Whether you keep that experience stone or sell it is up to you. For now, I need to attend a meeting at the Supreme Command of the 5 continents, so I'll be away for some time. During my absence, Fengdai will look after you." Before leaving, Izumi Odanin gave Tion Ma several firm instructions. First, their relationship had to remain secret. Second, he must never reveal his talent to anyone. Third, before Izumi returned, Tion Ma had to clear at least 6 high-level checkpoints. And fourth, if Tion Ma believed something was right, he should go all out. No matter what happened, Izumi would support him from behind. Tion Ma solemnly accepted his master's warnings. Meanwhile, at Flame Rock Execution Site number 4 in the North District, 2 trainees were shouting angrily at several men in suits and sunglasses. "We got here first. Why won't you let us in?" The men replied coldly that the site had already been reserved by young Master Kinoshita and told them to come back another day. The 2 trainees refused to back down. "So what if he's rich? He's not even here yet. We were clearly first. If you don't let us in right now, we'll report you to the Awakeners Guild." Before the words had even faded, the speaker was sent flying by a single punch from a muscular man. The blonde-haired trainee beside him reacted instantly and launched an attack. But the blow felt like striking solid steel with a rock. He couldn't believe it. His B-rank skill, Earth Strike, had done absolutely nothing. The muscular man was unharmed, his expression turning openly irritated. Reaching out, he lifted the blonde-haired trainee with both hands and slammed his head forward. The impact left the blonde coughing blood, his nose smashed flat. Murmurs spread through the crowd. 2 level 7 to level 8 awakeners, taken out without a chance to fight back? That guy is Asahikita Takashi, right? One of the 4 aides under Kinoshita Ryuki, a level 12 metal element user. Asahikita Takashi gripped the blonde man by the throat and warned the crowd coldly. "Anyone who tries to enter a checkpoint without Kinoshita Ryuki's permission will be punished without mercy. Just like these 2 pieces of trash." With that, he flung the blonde aside. At that moment, Tion Ma, who had just arrived, raised his hand and caught the flying body. The crowd erupted. Didn't that kid hear what was just said? A level 0 stepping in like that. Is he suicidal? The muscular Asahikita sneered at Tion Ma. "Without Lord Kinoshita Ryuki's approval, no one enters this checkpoint. Newbie, if you don't want to end up like them, go home while you still can." Fengdai was furious at the private monopolization of checkpoints and prepared to contact the North District 4 administrator. Tion Ma, however, understood clearly that the fastest way to clear a checkpoint was to defeat the man standing in front of him. He signaled Fengdai to stop. He would handle this himself. His master had said that once he believed something was right, he should go all in. Seeing Tion Ma step forward without hesitation, Asahikita couldn't understand it. What kind of class and level did this guy have, and why was he fearless? Even so, Asahikita felt an inexplicable pressure creeping up on him. He quickly dismissed it. A level 12 awakened held an overwhelming advantage. No rare class could bridge that gap. Just as the thought settled, Tion Ma suddenly sprinted straight at him. Bang! A punch slammed into Asahikita's face. The crowd gasped. "What's with that level 0 guy? Even at level 8, I can't track his speed." But the attack had no effect. Asahikita instantly activated metallization, blocking the blow. Raising his fully metallized arms, he grinned. Nice speed. Too bad your strength's lacking. As his arms came down, Tion Ma had already retreated. System prompt. C-rank skill metallization detected. Super Mimic activated. A skill capable of triggering Super Mimic. It was clear that Tion Ma had to get serious now. While normal attacks couldn't break through metallized areas, he could still strike the parts that hadn't been metallized yet. He drove a kick forward, only for it to be blocked by Asahikita Takashi's metal arm. That, however, didn't slow Tion Ma down. In the next instant, he activated Thunder Wave, sharply boosting his speed. Before the rest of Asahikita's body could fully metallize, Tion Ma closed the distance. A storm of punches followed, all slamming into Asahikita's body. At the same time, Super Mimic's analysis rate skyrocketed. The crowd was stunned. How can he use skills from other classes? That speed is insane. Under this relentless pressure, Asahikita had no chance to complete his metallization. He couldn't understand how a level 0 newbie could move this fast. If it continued, he would be overwhelmed. The barrage left him barely able to even cry out. Gritting his teeth, Asahikita decided to use that method. With a furious roar, his already tattered clothes were blasted apart as his entire body underwent full-body metallization. He grinned at Tion Ma. Thanks for pushing me this far. I've never successfully metallized my entire body before. Today, you'll be my test subject. Each metallized part boosts defense by 50%, and my talent adds another 50% when I remain still. In other words, my defense stat is now over. I plan to cut you in half, but now, out of gratitude for helping me unlock this, I won't let you die so easily. Tion Ma suddenly laughed. If I'm right, full-body metallization consumes a huge amount of mana, and since you specialize in defense, your mana pool can't be that large. Asahikita was caught off guard by the insight of a level 0 opponent and snapped back, accusing him of talking nonsense. Tion Ma waved it off, saying there was no need to worry. He had no intention of winning through a drawn-out mana-draining strategy. System prompt. Analysis progress has reached 100%. As the Blue Lotus bloomed, Foam Dye immediately realized Tion Ma was about to grow stronger again. The others were confused. A lotus? Is that really a level 0 skill? It doesn't look like an attack. Is he really planning to defeat Asahikita with that? System prompt. Metallization analysis complete. Skill acquired. Piercing Orb. Active effect. Fires a perfect sphere with a fixed trajectory. The sphere travels at 1 meter per second, pierces all enemies along its path, and ignores their defense. Passive effect. Each time this sphere defeats an enemy whose defense exceeds the user's own, its flight speed increases by 100%. Tion Ma hadn't expected the newly acquired skill to be this powerful, completely ignoring defense. The problem, however, was obvious. The projectile was painfully slow. Even an ordinary person could dodge it with ease, which made timing absolutely critical. But at this moment, timing wasn't something he needed to worry about at all. The big idiot standing opposite him wasn't going to move. He was about to grind that so-called impenetrable defense into dust. As a Blue Lotus bloomed open, Tion Ma extended a finger forward, instantly condensing an energy sphere. Facing Asahikita Takashi, Tion Ma spoke calmly. If you dodge now, you might still make it. Only then did the others realize that Tion Ma's class was Order Breaker, rumored to be the most mysterious of the 4 major classes. Still, doubts lingered. Could someone who hadn't even reached level 1 really break through level 10 metallization defense? Yet, judging by his confidence, this was clearly no ordinary skill. What truly shocked everyone was how incredibly slow the piercing orb actually moved. Disappointment spread instantly, and people couldn't help mocking. Is this a joke? A ball that crawls along like a snail. How is that supposed to be a powerful skill? Asahikita Takashi sneered. You think a little ball like that can force me to move or cancel on my talent? Don't be ridiculous. If this is your trump card, then your death is going to be ugly. However, The moment the piercing orb made contact with his body, a horrific scream rang out. The arm it touched vanished on the spot. Looking at Asahikita Takashi lying on the ground, Tion Ma spoke calmly. "I warned you to dodge. You should be glad you're human. If you were a calamity beast, I would have aimed straight for your neck." He then turned to the rest of their group. "What are you standing around for? Get him to the hospital now, and move out of my way." Frightened by his words, they shrank back, lifted Asahikita Takashi, and hurried away. The sheer contrast of the scene sent a wave of excitement through the crowd. He really won. That was beautiful. Soon after, two people rushed over to Tion Ma, eager to team up with him. Neither was willing to back down, and the two quickly started arguing. While they were bickering, Tion Ma was already thinking about the passive effect of piercing orb. After the argument settled, they asked which side Tion Ma planned to join. To their shock, he told them he intended to act alone. That answer stunned everyone. A level 0 rookie planning to solo an elite checkpoint above level 15? He may have beaten Asahikita Takashi, but wasn't this a bit too overconfident? Feng Dai spoke up, reminding him that every calamity beast in this checkpoint had defense comparable to Asahikita Takashi's. Even knowing Tion Ma possessed a way to break through defense, she still worried whether his mana could withstand such consumption. Tion Ma simply told her not to worry. No sooner had he spoken than Fengye's face flushed slightly. She explained that she was only asking on her father's orders, told him not to read too much into it, and then went off to tend to the wounded. Before leaving, she added one more warning. Although the calamity beasts here lacked intelligence, they moved in groups, so he needed to keep a close eye on his mana consumption. Tion Ma then raised his wristband and activated the checkpoint gate. Staring at the masked figures ahead, his gaze grew heavy. The numbers were far beyond what he had expected, worthy of an elite checkpoint. Their levels and attributes were vastly higher than anything he had faced before. Watching the calamity beasts charge forward, Tion Ma had only one thought: use them to boost the passive effect of piercing orb. A black orb bloomed from within a purple lotus. Just as one calamity beast was about to reach him, piercing orb punched straight through its body, leaving a gaping hole. System prompt: piercing orb flight speed increased by 100%. The situation unfolded exactly as Tion Ma had anticipated. Although the surrounding calamity beasts lacked intelligence, the moment they realized one of their own had fallen, they let out furious roars. Tion Ma, however, felt nothing but delight. Slow-moving and terrible at dodging, they were perfect targets for boosting piercing orb. Soon, system prompts kept triggering as the flight speed of piercing orb continued to increase. Still, with the mana he had left, Tion Ma could only use the skill 2 more times at most. At the same time, 2 more calamity beasts charged toward him, while their leader had yet to reveal itself. Tion Ma decided to deal with both enemies using a single piercing orb. Just as the 2 beasts lunged at him, Tion Ma leapt sharply, causing them to crash into each other. Seizing the opening, he prepared to fire the piercing orb in his hand. A tiny sphere pierced straight through both beasts, despite their astonishing defense. Tion Ma then checked the skill window for piercing orb. Its flight speed was now fast enough to keep up with running enemies. In the midst of his thoughts, a massive boulder suddenly fell from above his head. With a thunderous crash, it smashed the ground to pieces. What stood before him was a gigantic stone golem. Tion Ma activated Thunder Wave to boost his speed and barely escaped the attack. Even so, the creature's sheer size still left him momentarily stunned. With the mana he had remaining, he could fire only one more piercing orb. Could that really be enough to kill something like this? He then decided to aim for its head, hoping that striking a vital point might be enough. In an instant, a tiny piercing orb punched straight through the golem's head. But because of its massive body and the piercing orb's extremely small area of effect, the damage was far from fatal. The stone golem swung a massive punch toward Tion Ma's position. Knowing he couldn't dodge in time, Tion Ma immediately activated Black Ice Wall to block the attack. Even so, the sheer force sent him flying several meters back. Tion Ma hadn't expected this oversized monster to be even tougher than he'd imagined. System prompt: B-rank skill, gigantification detected. Super mimic activated. Realization hit him at once. The creature's size came entirely from skill. With that in mind, things suddenly became much simpler. Meanwhile, somewhere in the North District 4, a man in a suit showed a hint of surprise after hearing the report over the phone. He immediately relayed the information to the man standing before him. According to what he'd just learned, someone had defeated Asahikita Takashi and then forced their way into the checkpoint. Hearing this, the man on the sofa crushed his wine glass in his hand. What is Asahikita Takashi even doing? Didn't he boast that no one under level 30 could break his defense? Or was the one who beat him a level 30 awakened? The suited man quickly explained that the number of falling boulders had spiked recently, keeping all awakened above level 30 busy dealing with the situation. There was no way they could spare time to come here. Moreover, most challengers at the Flame Rock execution site were newcomers around level 10. Before he could finish, the man cut him off flatly. A level 10 awakened could never defeat Asahikita Takashi. The suited man replied that he would verify the details personally, but the man told him there was no need. He said he would go himself to see what kind of person dared to ignore his orders, and even lay hands on his subordinates. He intended to make that person regret ever crossing the Kinoshita family. Back at the Flame Rock execution site, Tion Ma's super mimic analysis progress had already reached 100%. This time, however, the analysis didn't grant him a new skill. Instead, it upgraded Piercing Orb to level 2. As a result, the skill's effects changed. Its active effect now allowed the user to consume extra mana to adjust the orb size, while its passive effect boosted the original kill-based acceleration from 100% to 200%. Tion Ma couldn't wait to test it out. He poured all the mana he had just recovered into the piercing orb, causing the once tiny energy sphere to expand dramatically. With a deafening blast, the gigantic stone golem was shattered into rubble. The sight made Tion Ma wonder if he'd gone a bit overboard. He hadn't expected an energy sphere fueled by all his mana to be this overwhelming. At that moment, Piercing Orb's flight speed had reached 7 meters per second. If he cleared this checkpoint 2 more times, its launch speed could approach that of a car. He couldn't help but admit that this passive effect was terrifyingly powerful. Then another thought crossed his mind. The passive effect of Wrathful Lotus increased the range of all skills. Did that mean Piercing Orb's travel distance would also increase? If he kept enhancing Wrathful Lotus's passive, perhaps one day he could kill Calamity Beasts from thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of meters away. As Tion Ma cleared the checkpoint, the records outside updated instantly. Everyone watching was left stunned. 3 minutes and 1 second? That's impossible. That level 0 guy is actually this strong? Seeing Tion Ma break Ito Issei's record once again, Feng Dai was clearly surprised. However, the moment Tion Ma stepped out, his attention was drawn to the butterfly beside her, confusion filling his eyes. Feng Dai then explained that it was her Shikigami butterfly. Tion Ma reached out to touch it, his first time ever seeing a Shikigami, and he couldn't hide his curiosity. He looked at Feng Dai and asked what classes Awaken could choose from. She was taken aback, surprised that he didn't even know such basic information. Feng Dai explained to Tion Ma that Awaken classes were broadly divided into 4 categories, and that he had already encountered 3 of them so far. The first category was Element Users, those who could manipulate the 7 elements. It was one of the most common classes, and also among those with the highest baseline combat power. For example, Oishi Hikaru from their school had awakened as a lightning element user. As for Asahikita Takashi, he was a metal element user. The second category consisted of Shikigami summoners, who could summon Shikigami to fight under their command. From the moment a Shikigami was born, it would accompany its master for life. After explaining this, Feng Dai asked whether Tion Ma still had any other questions. Hearing that, Tion Ma asked why her level was actually lower than that of her own Shikigami. Feng Dai explained, somewhat helplessly, that Shikigami also absorbed experience and could level up on their own. As a result, it wasn't unusual for a Shikigami's level to surpass that of its master. This made Tion Ma think of something else. If that was the case, then when fighting a Shikigami summoner, wouldn't attacking the Shikigami directly be more efficient than targeting the summoner? Seeing that Feng Dai didn't answer, Tion Ma asked what the remaining two classes were. Feng Dai fell silent for a moment before continuing. The third class, she said, was the one with the least information and the greatest mystery. It was the class Tion Ma himself possessed, Order Breaker. What made Order Breakers so enigmatic was that every single one awakened a completely unique ability, just like Tion Ma's Blue Lotus. Other Order Breakers displayed equally strange powers. Some could freely alter the size of their bodies, while others could create an unlimited number of clones. There were even those who could stretch and compress their bodies like rubber. In the standard class system, skills were ranked from C to S. Order Breakers, however, possessed the rank skills, abilities that existed outside the established framework. This was precisely why Order Breakers were considered special. Their greatest advantage lay in these exclusive skills. If an enemy were to learn one, an Order Breaker would lose their defining edge. That was also why Feng Dai's father had scolded her earlier for asking Tion Ma such questions. Even so, among Order Breakers, Tion Ma was still an anomaly. From Feng Dai's perspective, he could already use at least 3 skills, 2 of which normally belonged only to element users. Tion Ma had no intention of discussing his abilities in further detail. He smoothly changed the subject and asked what the final class was, and why he had never seen it even once. Feng Dai saw through his intention and replied with a smile that he would understand once he encountered it in person.